Jeremiah says, God, your word was found, and I did eat your word, for it was a joy in the rejoicing of my heart. It's as though Jeremiah is saying that he's been in this famine. He's going through these drought places, and he's just thirsty, hungry. And then suddenly he finds God's word. And then Jeremiah says, God, I have eaten your word, and it has given me strength. Are you going to start reading God's word? Today, the Bible is printed, the most widely printed book in the world. However, many times it's just left to the shelf. Many times you visit the Bible, visit a Christian's home, the Bible is just sitting in the shelf. No one reads it, it's just dusted up. Don't know where it's been. Everything else is visible now. But the Bible is such a valuable treasure that can help you grow in your spiritual life. So going back, so first you need to read God's word. You need to feed on God's word. You need to take it in all the time. Keep feeding on God's word. Have more and more of that. Now next, you and I, we need to reflect on God's word. Not only are we reading God's word, but we need to pause and we need to understand what God's word is saying. How does this word make sense to me? What's God trying to teach me here? What areas of my life is God bringing attention to? Things that I need to change about myself. It's akin to digesting your food. You need to break up your food to small particles. You need to let your body absorb that food that you've just eaten. And I've showed you the picture of this anorexic person. Sometimes people end up anorexic because they have disorders in digestion. Their liver doesn't secrete the right enzymes. Their stomach epithelial cells don't absorb these nutrients, and they end up anorexic. Well, sometimes we are like this. Maybe we're reading God's word, but it just doesn't go in. You remember the parable of the sower that Jesus shared? Jesus talked about these 4 kinds of people. And one of the kind of people that Jesus talked about are people where God's word is being sown into their hearts, but their hearts are just have all these rocks in them. There is not much soil for the word that was sown to produce fruit in their lives. My dad used to share this illustration that if you look at pebbles, right? These pebbles are like on the ocean floor, and there's so many of these pebbles, and there's just so much water flowing over these pebbles all the time. You might wonder, this pebble has been sitting in this water for such a long time. I wonder how much water is in this pebble. And you go and you break up this pebble. How much water do you find? No water. No water at all. It's been sitting in this water for all the time. Maybe sometimes our Christian life is like that. We are sometimes, I do immerse myself in God's word. I do go to TruthSeekers. I do go to church. I do hear God's word. I put on the radio. I listen to worship songs. But maybe are we like this pebble? Are we like this person Jesus said has this rocky heart where God's word just doesn't penetrate? The psalmist, King David, in Psalm 119, the psalmist says, "Oh, how I meditate in your law. It's my meditation all the day. I love your law, oh God, and I meditate on it all the day, God." You and I need to meditate. You and I need to feed on God's word that we can draw strength from God's word. So I would challenge you, when you read God's word, pause. Don't just read God's word, but meditate on it.